Hey guys, Jordan here. In this video, I jotted down 8 reasons why the FE 16 to 35 millimeter f4G lens coming out in June from Sony is a great lens for real estate photography. All right, so if you are interested in a spec video going about all the specs, that's not what this video is. This video is my thoughts as a real estate photographer on why this lens is a great option for you Sony shooters for real estate photography. But if you are interested in the specs, you can just go over to the Sony website, find the lens. They go into detail here about specs and all kinds of stuff. You can have a lot of fun there seeing all that kind of good stuff. But that's not what this video is about. These are the things, and in no particular order, why I really like this lens, because we've been using the 16 to 35 f4 Zeiss lens throughout my company for years now, for a long time. And I know that there are some reliability issues with those lenses. They have a tendency, the autofocus motor has a tendency to go out. We've probably sent in a dozen lenses to Sony to fix, and it's usually the bill, even with a Sony Pro membership, it is like $500 to fix those lenses. So anyways, been looking for different options, and I'm excited for this one. But reason number one that I really think this is a great one is weight. It is significantly lighter than the Zeiss. I do like how the Zeiss feels. It's very, I don't know, like a metal feel to it. And I think this one's gonna be a lighter, more plasticky feel, maybe more like the RF Canon lens here. But I like the weight reduction because, you know, less weight means less movement when you're setting your tripod, and also less fatigue when you're walking through a house shooting a walkthrough video on a gimbal. So that's reason number one, probably something that maybe you guys don't care about, but it does matter. Also, the non-shifting zoom lens, right? Where, you know, on the Zeiss or any lens, actually this one might be the same way. Oh, actually this one shifts a little bit, you see? So they usually pop out, and that's how the Zeiss is. Especially when you're doing like a walkthrough video or using your gimbal, it can kind of throw off your motors a little bit. Now gimbals these days are pretty strong, but it's gonna you know, drain your battery a little bit faster. And if you hit a bump, it might be a little bit more noticeable in your shot. So having that zoom that's internal is very cool, especially being a light lens. It's not going to shift the weight too much on that lens. So I'm excited about that non-shifting internal zoom. At least that's what I called it. And I've already mentioned number 3, which is hopefully a more reliable autofocus motor. So I for sure am gonna be talking about this lens in the future. So if you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe, because as we have issues or anything, I'm gonna be posting videos on that. So hopefully a much more reliable autofocus motor than the Zeiss. Price tag, yeah, that's reason number 4. The price is actually cheaper than the Zeiss. The Zeiss is $1350, and this comes in right under $1,200. And it's a G lens, which is awesome. Optics are superior to the Zeiss as well. It's an f4. So I think that's good enough for real estate. I have all the wide angle lenses by Sony, the 12 to 24 f2.8, the 16 to 35 2.8 G Master. And typically for real estate photography, you're not usually using the bigger aperture. I'd rather take a smaller form factor so it doesn't have to let as much light in at a higher aperture setting that is the f4. So I do like f4. I think it's a perfect balance for real estate photography to keep a lightweight lens as well as performance. And another thing I like about this lens is that it has, so this was reason number 6 I wrote down, the dedicated autofocus and manual focus switch on the lens, right? Which the Zeiss is missing. If you have a G Master Sony lens, that it does have that. But that is a really nice feature, especially if you're trying to set focus, boom. Obviously you can also do it with buttons on your body, but it is nice to have that on the lens itself. Reason number 7, I put the custom button on the lens, which is really awesome because you can customize that button to do a specific things, whether to turn focus peaking on or off, or whatever you want. It is nice to have additional functionality on the lens, and that is definitely something that's missing on the Zeiss lens. There's no you know, there's really none of that. All right, and last but not least, reason number 8, and this is a big problem that we have here in Arizona, especially. We typically tell our photographers to never switch off their lens, because when you're dealing with a mirrorless camera body like a Sony, it has a tendency to get dust inside the camera. And one thing that's lacking on the Zeiss is a rubber seal. Now, all the G and G Master lenses, they have a rubber seal, so when you're connecting your lens to your body, there is a seal. And kind of a workaround that we've been doing with the Zeiss is put a thick rubber band around that contact point, so it minimizes the amount of dust that gets into your camera. But having that seal built onto the lens is just gonna help create or not create more work for you in the editing process as you get sensor dust specks on your lens as you're running and gunning. Especially, you know, it may not be much of a problem in other parts of the country, but we have really dusty air here in Arizona, so that is a problem. And that's probably one of the small features that I'm like, man, they need to put a seal on these lenses. So anyways, that's 8 reasons why I think the FE, 16 to 35 millimeter f4 power zoom lens is a great option for you Sony shooters for real estate photography. If you like this video, hit the like button, and if you're interested in the real estate photography business, subscribe to my channel as I consistently put out videos just like this. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.